Welcome to the Deep Dive from All Sorts podcast. Today, we're not just scratching the surface, we're actually plunging deep into the earth to explore this sort of hidden world that forms the very backbone of our digital lives. I'm talking about underground data centers. Imagine these huge digital fortresses literally carved into rock, buried beneath our feet.
That's right. And our mission for you today is, well, to unearth the really critical insights from our stack of sources. We'll be revealing the surprising advantages, but also the formidable obstacles and the really ingenious innovations shaping these subterranean digital hubs. Think of it as a fast track to truly understanding a fascinating trend that's, quietly revolutionizing our tech landscape.
Okay, so when you first hear underground data center, it does kind of sound like something from a spy movie, doesn't it? Like a secret lair for data.
Yeah.
But beyond that cinematic feel, what's the actual practical appeal? Why move all this infrastructure down there? What's the real edge?
The benefits are genuinely compelling, and they come in layers, really. First off, just think about the environmental side. Traditional above-ground data centers, they're massive. They can eat up anywhere from, say, 100,000 square feet to, well, millions of square feet of land. Valuable land.
Wow, millions.
Yeah. So going underground, it drastically cuts that surface footprint. And that's not just about saving space. It means, preserving farmland, protecting natural habitats, less deforestation, plus the earth itself. It acts like a natural sound barrier. It just absorbs the hum from thousands of servers.
Ah, quieter too.
Exactly. Cuts noise pollution for nearby communities quite drastically.
Okay, so a lighter touch on the land, less noise. That's a huge win for sustainability. But I've also heard there are some maybe surprising upsides on the construction side.
Absolutely. One of the most efficient ways to do it is actually repurposing existing underground structures. Think about old mines or decommissioned military bunkers, maybe even old tunnel systems. And this isn't just a quirky idea. It can be significantly cheaper and, honestly, much faster than building a brand new facility above ground. Take the Arc Data Center in the UK, for example. It's in Wiltshire. They've impressively used a former underground stone mine and, get this, nuclear bunkers.
Nuclear bunkers? Seriously?
They used a modular design that fits right into these existing, really robust subterranean spaces. It cut their build time and costs way down.
That's incredibly clever. Taking something built for, well, a totally different purpose and giving it this new digital life. So once they're up and running, how does being underground really impact the day-to-day operations?
This is where the natural environment becomes a huge asset. Underground spaces, they inherently offer a stable, naturally cool environment. You're basically insulated from dramatic temperature swings, extreme weather like heat waves or deep freezes that really challenge surface facility. We're talking consistent ambient temperatures. For instance, Iron Mountain's facility in Kansas City, it stays at a steady 52 degrees Fahrenheit. Or Bluebird Fiber in Missouri. That one's around 64 to 68 degrees.
Year-round.
Year-round. And that natural insulation means operators have much finer control over cooling. It leads to way better energy efficiency. It just takes less effort, and so less energy, to keep servers at their optimal temperature. And that translates directly into lower running costs and, less strain on the power grid for you.
So the Earth is basically acting like a giant free air conditioner, cuts down the energy needed just to stop servers melting. What about the power source itself? Can they tap into anything unique down there?
They absolutely can. Underground data centers are sort of uniquely positioned to use geothermal energy, harnessing the natural heat from deep inside the Earth to generate electricity.
Right, geothermal.
It gives them an on-site, renewable, super clean energy source. Cuts dependence on external grids, ensures constant power day or night, any weather. And what's even cooler, really, is the potential to reuse the waste heat from the servers.
Oh, interesting. How?
Well, instead of just venting it, some facilities can channel this heat to warm nearby buildings or communities above ground. Creates a kind of symbiotic energy system. Think about the Green Mountain Data Center in Norway. That used to be a NATO ammunition store.
Another repurposed one.
Exactly. It's right beside a fjord, so it uses the cold fjord water for natural cooling, and it's powered entirely by 100% renewable hydropower. Incredibly sustainable setup.
That's really forward-thinking. Turning waste heat into a resource, tapping into nature's power. And I have to imagine burying an entire facility deep underground must offer some pretty significant security advantages too, right?
You're spot on there. For organizations handling really sensitive, mission-critical data, security is just paramount. Underground facilities, they offer an almost unparalleled defensive advantage. Physical attacks, environmental threats.
Health.
Well, because no part of the structure is externally exposed, right? It's an inherent barrier against someone trying to get in or sabotage things. And that design also gives amazing protection against natural disasters that plague surface sites, tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, wildfires. They become much less of a threat.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this is really crucial in high-risk areas. For instance, in Israel, many underground data centers were specifically built for protection against external attacks, terror threats. They have impressive ballistic ratings, meaning they're engineered to withstand really extreme physical impacts, even explosions. It's an unmatched layer of security.
Wow. So better for the planet, check. Better for the bottom line, check. Incredibly secure, check. It almost sounds, well, perfect. And usually, if something seems too good to be true, yeah, given all those incredible advantages, why isn't every single new data center being dug deep underground? There've got to be some major hurdles, right? Some ground truth that complicates this picture. What are the big challenges?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. While repurposing, like we said, has its advantages, constructing a brand new underground data center, starting from nothing, that often turns out to be more expensive and definitely more complex than building on the surface.
Why is that?
It's mainly down to the sheer intensity of the engineering involved. You need extensive specialized drilling, excavation, just creating the space. Then you have to build a shell that's strong enough to handle immense air and soil pressures, plus ensuring structural integrity against things like earthquakes. Then you layer in comprehensive insulation for waterproofing. Moisture is a huge enemy underground. All of that adds significant cost and complexity right at the start.
Okay, so the initial digging in is a very costly undertaking if you're starting fresh. And what about just finding the right spot? It can't be as simple as pointing to a map, surely.
No, definitely not. Location challenges are substantial, often underestimated.
Yeah.
Those ideal pre-existing sites, the old mines, the bunkers, they aren't exactly everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're often not near the big cities where data demand is highest.
Ah, the latency issue.
Exactly. It can cancel out that critical advantage of low latency, the super fast response time you need for online gaming, financial trading, anything real time. Data needs to be physically close to users for that. And beyond just finding a space, you have to vet its structural integrity, check how close it is to reliable power grids. And then there are the big environmental safety concerns. Building near geological faults, active volcanoes, even large water sources. It ramps up the risk of leaks, dampness, seismic impacts.
Right, and once you were down there, keeping that perfect, pristine environment for all the sensitive computers, that must be incredibly tricky. It's not like you can just crack open a window if it gets snuffy.
That raises a really critical point. While the natural cool helps with temperature, underground facilities often end up using more energy to maintain optimal air quality and humidity.
More energy? How come?
Think about it. Heat, pollutants from the equipment itself, even off-gassing. It all builds up fast in a sealed box. And high humidity. That's absolutely disastrous for electronics. Corrosion, short circuits.
Okay, got it.
So you need these intricate, often energy-hungry ventilation systems, precise humidity controls, advanced monitoring tools nonstop. All of that adds significant operational complexity and cost, separate from just the cooling benefit.
And what if you need to grow? Our digital world just keeps expanding, demanding more capacity. Is it easy to expand once you're buried deep?
Expansion is, well, arguably one of the biggest limitations. It's incredibly difficult and potentially quite dangerous to scale up an underground data center,
Really?
unless it was meticulously designed for future growth right from the beginning.
Why so difficult?
Well, extensive drilling, blasting, even just digging out space for new server halls inside an existing structure, it can threaten seismic stability, you risk cave-ins, structural damage. Plus, the inherent layout constraints underground can make it really challenging to efficiently place new equipment, route power, route cooling. It's a complex engineering puzzle.
So that limited access is a real double-edged sword. Great for security, but a logistical headache for almost everything else. What about another critical resource? Data centers use staggering amounts of water, right?
That's a crucial, often overlooked part of their footprint. Data centers, whether they're above or below ground, have a massive thirst for water. Large ones can use up to, say, 5 million gallons a day.
5 million gallons a day.
Per day, yeah, comparable to a town of maybe 10,000 to 50,000 people. And that water use goes way beyond just the on-site cooling towers.
How so?
It includes the huge amounts of water consumed by the power plants generating their electricity, especially if they're fossil fuel plants like coal or natural gas. They're very water intensive. It even includes water used way back in manufacturing the processor chips themselves. They need this highly purified, ultra-pure water, huge amounts of it.
That is genuinely staggering. So even with the natural cooling benefit underground, the total water demand across the whole life cycle is still a major concern.
It absolutely is, especially in water-stressed areas. Pulling that much from surface water or aquifers can lead to exhaustion, impacting local communities, ecosystems. So this raises a fundamental question for the innovators. How can these facilities manage their environmental impact, particularly water, even beyond just saving energy?
Okay, so we've dug into the incredible promise, but also the pretty daunting challenges of going subterranean. But, innovators don't just throw up their hands. What are the cutting-edge designs, the technologies making underground data centers not just viable, but more sustainable, more efficient for our digital future?
Yeah, this is where we see some truly ingenious engineering happening. To tackle that big water consumption issue, for instance, facilities getting creative. They're using non-potable water sources, think recycled wastewater, captured rainwater for cooling.
Smart.
Yeah, AWS, for example, they aim to be water positive by 2030. They already have 20 data centers using recycled water. Closed-loop cooling systems are also a big deal. They reduce freshwater use by up to 70% just by reusing the same water continuously. And then for even greater efficiency, we're seeing the rise of things like direct-to-chip cooling and immersion cooling.
Immersion cooling, what's that?
It literally involves submerging the server hardware in specialized non-conductive dielectric fluids. These fluids absorb heat way more efficiently than air ever could. It dramatically cuts water use and lets you pack servers much more densely. It's like the difference between gently misting something versus dunking it entirely to cool it instantly.
Wow. Immersion cooling sounds incredibly futuristic, almost sci-fi. So it's not just about getting rid of heat, but doing it fundamentally smarter, right down at the chip level.
Precisely. The whole trend is towards what people call green data centers. Sustainability is baked in from the start. This includes modular designs really key for underground, as it allows for that planned, scalable growth, mitigating those expansion issues we talked about. Many are also heavily investing in integrating renewables directly, wind farms, solar farms. Google, for instance, has this really bold plan: power all its data centers with carbon-free electricity by 2030.
That's huge.
It is. And switching to renewables drastically cuts that indirect water footprint from fossil fuel power plants, which, as we said, use tons of water per megawatt hour.
Right, connecting the dots to that bigger picture of global sustainability, making data centers part of the solution, not just a massive energy drain.
Absolutely. And innovation in cooling also includes really smart systems like ambient heat loops, fifth-generation heat networks. These don't just cool. They actually capture and reuse the waste heat, maybe feeding it into district heating for nearby towns.
Clever.
And beyond cooling, there are two emerging trends just revolutionizing efficiency everywhere: artificial intelligence and edge computing.
AI for data centers. How does AI actually step in to optimize these underground giants?
AI algorithms are becoming indispensable, really. They're used to optimize pretty much every aspect of the cooling systems. They predict peak workloads, dynamically adjust fan speeds, manage fluid flow and liquid cooling. By constantly learning, adapting, AI ensures energy is only used exactly when and where it's needed, minimizes waste. For high-performance computing, which generates immense heat, AI is crucial for managing those advanced liquid cooling techs precisely. And then you have edge computing.
Right. Edge.
Which is kind of changing the whole architecture. Instead of sending all data back to these massive central hubs, edge brings the computing power closer to where the data originates, closer to you. That minimizes data transfer over long distances, cuts the workload on the big central facilities, and inherently saves a lot of energy just by reducing network traffic.
Less travel for data, less energy needed overall. Brilliant.
And thinking back to those enclosed underground spaces, what about the air itself, the ventilation? That must be a major energy hog. Ventilation is definitely one of the most energy-intensive parts of any underground facility. You've got that constant battle against heat and pollutant buildup in confined spaces. Now, forced ventilation, like in mines, uses powerful fans. But they're energy hogs, often run 24/7, and they usually work against natural air currents. What's really fascinating now is the growing focus on natural ventilation, harnessing the Earth's own thermodynamics, basically, using temperature differences between inside and outside.
So using the Earth's own thermostat and air currents to manage the climate, like passive design.
Exactly. For facilities with a big vertical drop, a significant difference in elevation between the entrance and the deepest parts, natural airflow can slash operating costs. Think of places like the Gotthard Road Tunnel in Switzerland, or the Hagerbach Test Gallery. Their design inherently encourages natural convection. A fantastic example is the Schulberg Quarry in Switzerland. It has an impressive 70-meter elevation difference.
70 meters, wow.
Yeah. And it cleverly uses seasonal air circulation. There's a winter cycle, cool, dense air flows in low, pushing hot air up and out, and a summer cycle doing the opposite. They support this with automated airlocks and only use targeted jet fans during transitional seasons to guide the flow. It's a really sophisticated approach that minimizes the installed power, cuts operating hours way down, provides amazing energy efficiency by working with nature, not fighting it.
As we surface from this deep dive, just remember that knowledge, well, much like the data we've been exploring, it thrives when it's shared and nurtured. We've journeyed from the secure, cool depths of underground data centers, explored their complex challenges, and seen the really ingenious ways humanity is designing a more sustainable digital future right beneath our feet. If this journey, beneath the earth and through these innovations has sparked even a flicker of curiosity in you, please let that light expand.
Indeed. And please join our growing constellation of curious minds here. Your engagement, honestly, it's the energy that powers our mission. Exploring these depths of information, bringing you these kinds of illuminating insights. It's really a continuous quest for understanding, much like that relentless demand for more data storage that's driving all these innovations in the first place.
So if you found some real value in unearthing these fascinating facts today, we'd love it if you took just a moment to help us keep this exploration going. Cast your vote for discovery like this deep dive, share it with another seeker of knowledge you know, and definitely subscribe to the All Sorts podcast on YouTube. That's where more amazing revelations are waiting, and your subscription. It isn't just a click for us, it's like a beacon, guiding others to this shared pursuit of understanding.
And for all of you trailblazers who have already joined us on this quest seriously, thank you. Your dedication is what allows us to keep delving into this vast ocean of information, bringing new perspectives to light with every single deep dive. You can follow the journey, uncover more wisdom, connect with us on X, Instagram, and Threads. And please, check out our previous deep dives. Each one is kind of a treasure trove, just waiting for you to unearth and explore. And maybe think about this. What deeper questions does this whole conversation raise for you about how we build the critical infrastructure for our digital world? And crucially, how do we balance those ever-growing tech needs with our planet's precious resources?
Until our next excavation into the world of ideas, keep digging, keep questioning, and keep exploring.